بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. What did we mention last week, Abdul Rahim? What was last week's class on? You weren't here? You didn't come? طيب Mahad, were you here? الدارمي. What was last week's class on? ما الذي ذكرنا في الأسبوع الماضي؟ الدارمي؟ الدارمي؟ طيب وماذا قلنا عن الدارمي؟ ماذا قلنا عنه؟ من هو؟ من أين؟ متى توفي؟ متى؟ Samarkand, all right? So what's the research, Nafis? What great world conqueror is associated with that city, that ancient city? La, something else. What do we say? Who's associated with that city? Samarkand. What do we say? Somebody that's known in the east and the west. Famous, infamous. And he was Muslim. All right, we still don't know. Genghis Khan wasn't Muslim, yani, according to what we know. Only Allah truly knows what's on the inside, but he wasn't Muslim. But it's someone else that is distantly associated and connected with and to him. Well known in the West as well. All right. Tayyip, what else did we say about Ad-Darimi? What year, what century did he die and live? Or live and die? We said he lived in the 3rd century. Al-Qarn al-Thalith. Okay. And that he was famous for writing what book? Sunan or Musnad. And that he, like all of the other Imams that we have read about their lives and biographies, he was Hafiz, a prodigy of memory, and he was Sahib Deen, or Wara. He was pious, he was righteous, he was courageous, generous. Naam. The worldly life was given to him, he turned away from it, etc. Khairan, inshallah. What are some of the chapters that we mentioned from his Sunan? Hamza. استعرضنا كتابه الكتب والأبواب. اذكر لنا بعض الكتب وبعض هذه الأبواب. كتاب الصلاة. طيب أبواب تحت هذا الكتاب مثل صلاة الليل. أي نعم. مثنى. أي نعم. أحكام صلاة الليل. تهجد، تراويح، قيام، الوتر. All right, we have to review, مذاكرة العلم حياته. We got to review the knowledge. بإذن الله تعالى. All right, tonight's personality will be someone that's going to come in the shade or the shadow or after, not Darimi, but Ibn Khuzaymah. Imam Ibn Khuzaymah. We've explained, we've mentioned his biography. This personality tonight, sorry I don't have my laser pointer. Hamza left me hanging dry. So we're going to go back to the mouse arrow thingy, clicker thingy. Our personality tonight is Ibn Hibban. Ibn Hibban. Wikipedia, Arabic, Al-Ihsan, Sahih Ibn Hibban, All right, and it seems as if we're missing a link. No problem. It's in English. Bismillah. See what we get. Sahih Ibn Hibban. Okay, all right. Khairan, inshallah. So there's an Imam whose common name or colloquial name would be Ibn Hibban. Like Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, Bukhari, this wasn't his actual name, but this is what he is known by among the people of knowledge and the people of hadith. So we're reading from the classic and classical work, Siyaru A'lam al-Nubala, Tasnif al-Imam Shamsuddin Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Uthman al-Dhahabi, who died 748. On page 92, obviously this book مرتب على الطبقات. الطبقة هي رجال أو نساء، يعني ناس تقاربوا في السن والأخذ عن الشيوخ. هذا معنى الطبقة إن عن الحديث. الطبقة هو التقارب، لا التساوي، وإنما التقارب في الأخذ عن الشيوخ والتقارب في السن. A contemporary, someone who doesn't have to be your exact age. You study with similar people that you study with, and of similar age, if not exact age. All right. سير أعلام النبلاء. Inshallah, our reader tonight, من يتبرع لنا بالقراية. Inshallah, يأخذ الأجر والفائدة. تفضل بسم الله. ابن حبان. دارم ها دارمي ها تفضل التميمي الدارمي البستي. طيب. So he, according to al-Dhahabi, he called him al-Imam al-Allama, erudite, high octane, powerful scholar, Allama. Al-Hafiz al-Mujawwid, his memory was near perfection, right? Flawless, seamless, polished. Mujawwid, tajweed of hifd, perfect hifd. Right? An amazing genius. Shaykhu Khurasan, the leader, the master, the great scholar, the head scholar of this region called Khurasan. Like many other scholars of hadith that we have spoken on, we're from Khurasan. All right, where is or what is the current day of Khurasan? Iran. Anybody else? Pakistan, anyone else? طيب. Khurasan, Afghanistan, we'll get there. Al-Muhim, Khurasan. And his kunya, once again, Abu Yusuf, we spoke on the kuna. Okay, calling your brother by his name, by his kunya. His kunya was Abu Hatim. Abu Hatim. First name is Muhammad, son of Hibban. So his name, in short, will be Abu Hatim, Muhammad ibn Hibban. And then Dhahabi, may Allah have mercy on him, he gives his full genealogy, his nasab, kamilan. Son of Ahmad, son of Hibban, son of Mu'adh, son of Ma'bad, son of Shaheed, the son of Hadiyah, the son of Murrah, the son of Sa'ad, the son of Yazid, the son of Murrah, the son of Zayd ibn Abdullah, the son of Darim, like Darimi, Abdullah ibn Abdurrahman al-Darimi, the son of Handala, all the way to his clan and or tribe. We mentioned this, Banu Tamim. Banu Tamim. And as we've stated many times before, in most cases, wallahu ta'ala a'lam, we talk about a classical scholar, even if he isn't from Arabian ancestry, one way or another, eventually, the lineage and genealogy or ascription, the affiliation of this scholar has to merge and cross roads with the Arabs. We said this early on. One way or another. If the person doesn't have the Arabian blood, then somehow, some way, him being a Muslim, becoming a scholar, studying, is going to be connected with the Arabs. And the reason why we said this many times before is not to promote Arab superiority or Arab nationalism, none of that. Nor to put down others, put down the Arabs. But it's to show you that the shaitan is very crafty. He's very tricky. And he gets people to stray away from the deen for loving or hating. I'm not an Arab, so therefore, this and that. Arabs don't like, black people. They're racist against black people. So therefore. And then that pushes me what? And the next thing you know, this is Sunnah, Bukhari, Muslim. But I'm not Arab. There's nothing to do with culture. Jibreel came to the Prophet, gave the Prophet this reward. It's an Arab thing. I'm black American. I'm not Arab. I don't get down with it like that. I recite the Quran. I'm Muslim. I can barely recite the Fatiha. I can barely recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad properly. Al-Ikhlas. I am not studying with the Arabs. Because. This is shaitan. It's a trick. It's a trick. And it's not about loving or hating, but it's about deen. And whether you like it or not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down his last book in the language of these people. End of discussion. So your iman has to come at a certain point in time, in which for argument's sake, I dislike Arabs, I don't get along with Arabs, I don't like the Arabs treat me, but because of the deen, yallah, I'm going to eat it like you eat it. I'm going to dress like you dress. Because of tadayyun, deen, and not for genealogy and nasab. And many other tricks, many people, talking specifically where I come from, many people, they don't go study, they didn't study, they don't learn the deen, they didn't learn the deen. Be suburb, they say, oh, the Arabs. Okay, Tayyib, you could have studied Quran in Africa. What stopped you? Go to Pakistan, go to India, they're not Arabs. Go to Afghanistan. So ignorance has no justification. That's the moral of the story. Ignorance has no justification. I don't like the Arabs, I'm not going to Egypt. Tayyib. Man farada alayk an tadhhab ila Misr. Go to Nigeria, go to Somalia, go to Chad. You don't have to go to Hyderabad. There's plenty of places to go study and learn the Quran. But you can't recite the Quran properly. You have no knowledge. You can't say, oh, it's just because of the Arabs. That's a problem. Let alone the fact that the religion, whether you like it or not, is in the language of these people. And many rulings and many Quranic passages are in the culture of these people. Shi'ta am abayta. And the same would apply if you were a Christian. If you wanted to be a real Christian, a true Christian, or Catholic, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to study Latin. And you're going to have to learn some of the culture of those people who are called Romans, whether you like it or not. You can be Greek, you can come from this background. If you want to be a true Catholic, you're going to have to study Latin. And you're going to have to study French. And you have to learn about French culture. Not because of, I like the French, or they like me, but because of Catholicism. And if you were a Jew, regardless of your denomination, Zionist, whatever it is, you're going to have to learn and study something of what? Of Hebrew and of Jewish culture. Not because these people from this country, but because you claim to be someone who follows that religion. Wahakadha. If a person wanted to be, waliyadu billah, may Allah prevent, a Hindu, and he came from America. Once again, I'm a black American. I'm black and I'm proud. I'm American. But for example, this person wants to be Hindu. I don't like Indian people. Indian people are racist. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they smell. I don't like the way they talk. I don't like the way they dress. Their food is too spicy, etc., etc., etc. But if you want to be a true Hindu and go deep, you're going to have to do what eventually? What are you going to have to do? A time is going to come in which you're going to have to what? You're going to have to mix with people from that part of the earth and learn about their culture. You can't get to the sutras, but so far in English. These are the men who know about their sutras of Hinduism, Sikhism. And the same applies to any other thing. Vice versa. If an Arab person says, I don't like Americans, white, black, whoever, but I'm moving to America, I'm living in America, my son is born and raised in America, he's going to have to do what? He's going to have to learn. And he's going to have to take some of the American culture. Wala bud is a must. So you can never allow your hatred or whatever problems that you have to get in the way of success. That's the moral of the story. And that's a trick of the shaitan. Your spirituality will be hindered because of Arabs. Or vice versa. Because I'm Arab, everyone else is beneath me or lesser than me. I don't have to practice the deen. And many people, unfortunately, they have this attitude. This is a reality. It's a sad reality. In America, you order Uber or a limousine driver. He sees that your name is Muhammad, blah, blah, blah. He asks you, are you Muslim? No, my name, it just happens to be Muhammad. That's the name. Michael, it just happens to be Muhammad. I'm just having to wear kufi, having to wear thobe. He asks you, are you a Muslim? Like, where's your aql, yani? You walk into a grocery store and someone asks you, are you a Muslim? Do kuffar walk around in America dressed like this? This is a serious question. Have you ever seen a kafir dressed like this? However, they say, are you Muslim? Oh, okay. So how long you been a Muslim? You became Muslim in jail? He said, no, I was born Muslim. Oh, really? Yo, mashallah. And, well, brother, I come from this country. My parents, my grandfather, blah, 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 blah. They have to make you, put you down. And unfortunately, this person, he doesn't pray. He sells haram things. He has no deen, just like the Christians, just Christian by name. You're trying to practice, but you can never be a true Muslim. You can never be a good Muslim because you aren't Arab. A girl wants to marry a brother from another country. Say, no, he's not a real Muslim, etc., etc., etc. So the shaitan tricks people, thinking that they can just rely and relax and lean upon something. وَمَنْ بَطَّأَ بِهِ عَمَلُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. So the blood doesn't make you or break you. It's all based off of your deeds, Arab or non-Arab. If there's an Arab person who's upon taqwa, it is what it is. And if it's a non-Arab person upon taqwa, it is what it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, He's not going to ask you about your genealogy, your DNA. It's about your deeds, right? So never let the deeds slow you, never let your genes slow you down. Never let the genealogy get in the way of you being righteous and learning and practicing the deen, right? That's the moral of the story. فَانْتَبِهُ. Shaitan is very dangerous, and he knows how men think and feel, and he whispers. And I don't think that anyone is going to agree with these different sides of extremism. Right here in this country, you see it. You see the ups and you see the downs with regards to this, right? It's very unfortunate. All right, so he goes back to the Banu Tamim clan, hence At-Tamimi, and he also has the description of the affiliation of Darimi and Al-Busti, from the town, city, or village of Bust, which we'll explain bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Dhahabi calls him Sahib al-Kutub al-Mashhura. He is the author of many well-known works. He's a prolific author. Fadl.
Is Darimi reference to Ibn Darim or Darimi?
كذلك يكون أكثر من سبب. دارم كما قرأنا قد يكون شخص وقد يكون محلة مثلا، لكن قرأنا أنه شخص. عرفت كيف؟ أنت معي؟ عبد الله ابن دارم شخص، لا بلدة، لا قرية، لا قبيلة، وإنما شخص. Okay, he was born 2, 7, and some change. Bid'a, 3 to 10. 3 to 10. 273, 274, 276, 270 and some what? What we say in English? Change. That's the way you would interpret that sentence, and not just translate it word for word. 273 to 10. Right? Someone with the original English language would say 270 and some change, approximately. All right, طيب. He says, وَأَكْبَرُ شَيْخٍ لَقِيَهُ فضل أبو خليفة.
وإسحاق ابن يونس المنجنيقي.
المنجنيقي. ايش المنجنيق؟ ها، ايش المنجنيق؟ ها، الكاربول، التربل شيء. right. طيب تفضل.
المنجنيقي وعزة وبالموصل من أبي يعلى أحمد بن علي، وينسى من أبو الحسن بن سفيان، وبزرجان من العمران بن موسى بن مجاشع السختياني، وببغداد من أحمد بن الحسن بن عبد الجبار الصوفي وطبقته، وبدمشق من جعفر بن أحمد ومحمد بن صالح وقال وبنيسابور من أبي
خزيمة صاحبنا،
والسراج
صاحب المسند.
والماسرجيسي وبعسقلان من محمد بن الحسن بن قتيبة وببيت المقدسي.
طيب. So here, Al-Dhahabi goes on to talk about the most prominent teacher of Ibn Hibban. وأكبر شيخ نقيه, the biggest teacher, the biggest personality he met is Abu Khalifa Fadl ibn Hubab al-Jumahi. And then he goes on to mention where he heard from who. What teachers did he have in what locations? Basra, Iraq, Egypt. He heard from Nasa'i. He studied with Nasa'i when Nasa'i was on a journey in Egypt, because we know that Nasa'i is an Egyptian. All right, many others. Iraq, Mosul once again, right? Nasa'i's country. He didn't study with Nasa'i in Nasa'i's own country. He was out of town. He was sick. Life. I'm in Egypt, and you're what? Abu Yusuf. Oh, Sheikh, I didn't know you were in Egypt. I'm in, Aywa, you get the point? It happens. Jordan, Baghdad, Damascus, Nisapur, that's what he learned from Ibn Khuzaymah and Sarraj. Ashkelon, right? Jerusalem, may Allah Azza wa Jalla help the Muslims in Palestine. Allah musta'an, yani. Allah musta'an is all you can say. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. All right, so these are some of his different teachers. Antakya was Antakya, biblical reference. Antioch, that's right, the Crusades. Fairuz opened up the gate, during the first crusade. Now, so yeah, all right, and many others. حدث عنه, some of his students. فضل Abu Abdullah. Now he mentions his students. And the biggest personalities, which are most popular from his students, are two. Ibn Manda is a great alim, authored many important books. And of course, if he had no other student except for this one, Kafahu Sharafan, Abu Abdullah al-Hakim al-Naysaburi, Sahib al-Mustadrak. Right? That would be more than enough for a teacher to have one illustrious student. Let alone if you had what? Many, let alone generations. First gen students. These guys are older than you, but they studied with me. Then the next gen came. You graduated, you left. You understand? That shows a lot about the teacher. Okay, so that is from his background when he was born, teachers and students. قال أبو محمد الإدريسي كان
كان على قضاء سبقا زمانه، وكان من فقهاء الدين وحفاظ الآثار، عالما بالطب وبالنجوم وفنون العلم. صنف المسند الصحيح، يعني به كتاب الأنواع والتقاسيم، وكتاب التاريخ، وكتاب الضعفاء، وفقه الناس
وفقه الناس.
وفقه الناس بسما قال.
طيب. Abu Sa'ad al-Idrisi says about him, he used to be a judge in Samarkand for some time. And he was from the fuqaha. He was a master of Islamic fiqh. And at the same time, he had the best of both worlds, Huffaz al-Athar. He was a hadith master as well. He had both. Look at Allah's blessings. Not only was he a master of these two disciplines in Islam, which is enough, and it may take you a lifetime to master one, he also was knowledgeable of medicine. He had ilm of tib, whether that's herbs, surgery, the body. He was learned of medicine. Wabin nujum, and the stars, astronomy. He had knowledge of astronomy. Now, inshallah, we don't want to jump the gun, but all right, so what is this? He says, وَفُنُونِ الْعِلْمِ, and all different branches of knowledge and science. So take a guess, Mahad, if you had to guess, what is this setting him up for? His knowledge of all of these different fields, from Quran and Hadith to medicine to stars. What do you think this is setting him up for? If you had to guess, if your gut told you anything.
Jealousy?
There you go. Good answer. He's going to run into conflict for sure. People are going to misunderstand him. People are going to envy him. If you had one good skill or talent, people are going to envy you. One good thing. Let alone you're good at basketball, football, baseball, boxing, just naturally really good. People are going to envy you. Also, if you have different styles, Ibn Victor, so many styles. I learned so many styles. If you have so many styles, many people are going to misunderstand you. And most people's minds are too rigid to get it. How you mix things up and talk, oh, what is he saying? Are you trying to say this? You talking about this? You don't, because you only got one style. You're a one-trick pony. Your gear is only one gear. You don't have a stick shift. You can't switch gears mentally. So many people that want to misunderstand you, sincerely, let alone based off of looking for a mistake. I'm waiting for you to say something funny. Oh, he said it. We knew it. So hasad is, Allahumma musta'an, is a great cancer, a disease. And it burns the envious person alive. He's in punishment 24/7. Man, I can't hate him. I can't stand him. I hate him. Just envious. And when you're envious of someone, you're waiting for them to make a mistake. Or you're waiting to interpret something which really isn't a mistake. So we're going to get there. From the books that he wrote is Al-Musnad As-Sahih. Once again, like Imam Muslim, that was the name of his book, which is called Al-Anwa' wa-Taqasim. هذا يتعلق بمنهجية ترتيب الكتاب. كيف رتب كتابه؟ هل رتبوا على المسانيد ولا رتبوا على الكتب الفقهية ولا اخترع وابتدع طريقة جديدة في ترتيب كتابه. All right, so his book is considered, we're going to read inshallah, is like the Sihah genre. It's like Bukhari. Not as authentic, but it's in that classification of a book which the author considers to be sound in general, and it's organized, and the fiqh is placed in the chapter headings. And there's a great deal of skill and talent involved in the chapter headings. But he arranged it in a different way. And that way was Al-Anwa' wa-Taqasim. Instead of Kitab Tahara, Kitab Salah, Kitab Janaiz, Kitab Zakat, what he did was Al-Awamir, Wal-Nawahi, Wal-Akhbar. All things that are commanded, he put it in a place. All things that are prohibited, he put it in a place. So it's a very innovative style here. A very innovative style, which obviously is going to be a reflection of his what type of mind? Flexible mind. Switching what? The styles in the middle of the game or the fight or the poetry. Now, only a skilled person can do that, right? Okay, moving forward. قال الحاكم كان ابن حبان من أوعية العلم في الفقه واللغة والحديث والوعظ ومن عقلاء الرجال. قدم نيسابور سنة 34 و300 فسار إلى قضاء نسا ثم صرف إلينا في سنة 7 فقام عند النبي نيسابور وبنى الخانقة وقرئ عليه جملة من مصنفاته ثم خرج من نيسابور إلى وطنه سجستان عام 40 وكانت الرحلة إليه لسماع كتبه. وقال أبو بكر الخطيب كان ابن حبان ثقة نبيلا فهما. وقال أبو عمرو بن الصلاح في طبقات الشافعية غلط ابن حبان الغلط الفاحش في تصرفاته. قال ابن حبان في أثناء كتاب الأنواع لعلنا قد كتبنا عن أكثر من 2000 شيخ قلت يعني الذهبي كذا فلتكن الهمم عالية تستكثر من العلم تستكثر من مجالسة أهله تستكثر لا تستقل تستكثر فلتكن الهمم هكذا. قال هذا مع ما كان عليه من الفقه والعربية والفضائل الباهرة وكثرة التصانيف. From his virtues, his student, his disciple, Al-Hakim says, Ibn Hibban was from the vessels of knowledge. He was like a jar of ilm. Close it, open it, put whatever you want in it, take it out. He's a bearer of knowledge, a wielder of knowledge. He had a great deal of fiqh, the Arabic language, hadith, and he also gave wa'adh. He preached. He gave reminders. He admonished the people. He was fasih, the khatib. He wasn't just a scholastic person, but actually was a person of teaching the deen and calling people to the deen. And most importantly, وَمِنْ عُقَلَاءِ الرِّجَالِ, he was highly intellectual, very sharp mind. He came to Nishapur 334, and then he became the judge of Nessa. That's another reason behind envy. How are you going to have the deen in the dunya? There's a mushkila. And then he turned to us in the year 337, talking about the different establishments that he built and erected, raised, the books that were read to him, the people studied with him, and they traveled just to hear his works, just to sit with him, just to learn from him. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, rahimahullah, he says Ibn Hibban was trustworthy scholar, thiqa, nabil, he was prestigious, he had honor, fahim, sharp, like a thumbtack. He was a very, very smart person. Then he quotes Ibn Salah, rahimahullah, saying that Ibn Hibban made all types of mistakes. Fi tasarrufatihi, what he wrote and how he wrote. So with the good comes the what?
Bad.
The bad. And as we've said before, if you don't have any detractors or any haters, Hamza, that means you ain't making any noise. Period. If you're making noise, then you're going to have opposition. That's a law of nature. The stronger you grow, thus do the forces of those who oppose you. It's a rule in deen and dunya. The stronger you are, the more successful, the better, the more popular, the more you go, the further you go, you're going to have people on the opposition. They want to say things about you, right or wrong, incorrect or incorrect. So therefore, if you want to play ball, if you want to be a businessman, if you want to do this and if you want to do that, if you want to open up a restaurant, you make good food, you have good prices, you serve the people, someone's going to start talking about your restaurant. It's overpriced. Oh, I saw the roach in the kitchen. Oh, it's not halal meat. My food is better. Oh, he's charging. This is how it is. So if you have thin skin, you're not going to survive in this world, deen or dunya. And this is something that we should teach our young men and young women. You have to have thin skin. You can't be too sensitive. And you go and you cry when someone says something about you. If they spoke about this imam with his piety, then what do you think about us today? So be mindful of this, of detractors and of haters have been around since what? Since day one, bro. Iblis was what? He was hating. He was jealous. He was envious of Adam. Haters been around since what?
Day one.
First human being created. Think how deep that is. Adam's sons. What does Allah tell us? وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ. One son was a what? He was a hater. He was jealous. فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ من الآخر حسد. He's envious. So the nature of the human being, his existence, is always going to be someone hating on you. It's always going to be someone looking for your downfall. Notice, learn this well. Learn this well. Moving forward, he says, Ibn Hibban said in his book, which is called Sahih Ibn Hibban, he says, لَعَلَّنَا. He says, perhaps in this book of ours, we have reported hadiths from over 2,000 scholars. 2,000 teachers in just one book. And look how he said, لَعَلَّنَا. Maybe. You understand the style? In other words, in most cases, we what? It's more than 2,000. But for sure, I know I hit 2,000 three-pointers. Perhaps I dunked on 2,000 people when I was playing. Perhaps. And in most cases, it was what? It was more people that I dunked on. He says here, الذهبي كذا فلتكن الهمم. This is how the people should be. Their aspirations. You got to think big, high. You can't be lazy. You got to go out and study and benefit and be as greedy as you can when it comes to studying this deen. And if you're not that greedy, if you're sufficient with a little bit here and there, a few pieces, you get in what you put in. That's the rule. You put in more, you get out more. All right, so Ibn Hibban, he met all those different scholars. And at the same time, he had all of that fiqh, all of that Arabic, all of those virtues, and all of the books that he wrote. طيب, he then goes on to state, قال الخطيب ذكر مسعود بن ناصر السجزي تصانيف ابن حبان فقال تاريخ الثقات وعلل أوهام المؤرخين مجلد علل مناقب الزهري 20 جزءا وعلل حديث مالك 10 أجزاء وعلل ما أسند أبو حنيفة 10 أجزاء ما خالف في سفيان شعبة 3 أجزاء. All of these different books. And all of these books here, I can tell you now, they're all of surgical precision. علل حديث مالك. Right? Moving forward. وهذه التواليف إنما يوجد منها النزر اليسير. Most of these books have been lost. As we stated before, stolen, burnt, thrown in the river by the Mongols, stolen by the Crusaders, stolen by the Fatimids, Shia, al-Muhim, فقدت. Most of these books haven't reached us. وقد كان قد وقف كتبه في دار فكان سبب في ذهابها مع تطور الزمان ضعف أمر السلطان واستيلاء المفسدين. They were thieves. They stole the books, they destroyed the books because the Sultan wasn't strong enough. His fist wasn't what? Wasn't clenched enough. People complain about a tyrant, but oftentimes tyrants come with advantages. Right? Tyrants come with what? Advantages. In Allah la yaza'u bis-sultan ma la yaza'u bil-Quran. A person may not drink because of the Quran, but he won't drink because he knows that this ruler is what? He's no joke. If we catch you drinking, if we smell alcohol in your breath, you are going to get whipped in public severely. That can stop a person from drinking more than what Allah says about drinking. Obviously, look at the world today. What happened in Iraq? Was Iraq better with Saddam or worse? With or without him? Huh. What happened when he went away? What happened that? Right? So people, they don't think about that, right? And Allahu Akbar, not to get into anything political, but for sure, it's very interesting when you look at the last days of Saddam. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. أقل ما نقول. Very interesting. Moving forward. قال أبو إسماعيل عبد الله بن محمد الأنصاري مؤلف كتاب ذم الكلام, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so he then talks about the different books that he wrote. And now we've moved forward to the section in which the people started talking about him and calling him very, very, very bad names and accusing his religion and accusing him of being a heretic. All right. Let's move forward to the English article. Wikipedia in Arabic. All right. Fadal, Nafis. Muhammad ibn
Muhammad ibn Hibban al-Busti
was a Muslim.
Muslim polymath.
What's a polymath? What's that word mean? Huh? What's a polymath? La. Allahu Akbar. Someone of what? Many sciences. Tayyib. And a prominent traditionist. He was Shafi'i, but like his Shaykh Ibn Khuzaymah, he wasn't a bigot. He wasn't a fanatic, nor was he a muqallid, just a blind follower. Ibn Hibban was from Ahl al-Hadith. He was from the fuqaha of Hadith. All right. Hadith critic, naqid. Right? Evaluator of rijal, mutakallim fi rijal. Compiler?
Compiler and interpreter of hadith.
Well-rounded, balanced. Compiler, criticizer, explainer, everything. MashaAllah. He was
Prolific.
a prolific writer and well-versed,
In numerous Islamic fields such as fiqh.
reaching the level of ijtihad. He wasn't a Shafi'i bigot. He wasn't a blind follower. As well
as in the science of astronomy, medicine.
astronomy. Oh man, look at that. Allah. Said he was a zindiq. Medicine.
Medicine, history, and other
Like we read. All right. On the side, Sheikh of Khurasan. As we said, everything in English isn't bad or false. We've proven all of these things were in the original source. Khurasan. Right? Where's Khurasan today? It's in more than one country, it seems, correct? Combination, a mixture. Tayyib. Khurasan, he was born 270. And we said 270 in somewhat? Change. What was the town, the modern day town? Father Nafis, go ahead. Come on. Lashkharga. Historically called Busti, like we said. Boost. Allahu Akbar. A boost. Naam. Fadl is a city in southwestern Afghanistan and the capital of Helmand province. All right. All right. Moving forward. Resting place. Religion. Islam. Look at that. Allahu Akbar. Tayyib. Era. Islamic Golden Age. Middle of Abbasid era. Sunni, not Shi'i, or Ismaili, or whatever. Shafi'i, creed. And obviously, this is a huge problem here, which we're going to read, and which we're going to get into. Fadal, main interests, notable works, Sahih ibn Hibban. All right, influenced by, where's Ibn Khuzaymah, where's Nasa'i? Influenced, where's Hakim? You see some things are going to be missing and wrong in English. All right, as Harun would say, Big H, guided reads. Guided reads, right? The importance of class and of a teacher. All right, Muhammad ibn Hibban, Abu Hatim, Kunya. Fadda. Fadda, read the word. Huh? It's deep. English has got levels too. All right, type. Fadda Nafis, education.
Imam ibn Hibban grew up in the city of Bust, where he where he spent his childhood and early youth, then left for education and thirst for knowledge. This Imam was traveling countries from
Transacts. Where's Sahibu now? Where's our guy? Guy's missing the classes, man. We explained this. Ma wara an-nahar, right? Transaxania, right? Fadal, and reaching far as Egypt. Tayyib? What's up with that eagle? What's the ruling on that eagle, huh? What does that eagle symbolize? Fadal. During these intense travels, Sufyan. It was intense. All right?
He had numerous teachers whom he narrated from. Teachers. He studied Islamic sciences with many prominent scientists of the time, such as An-Nasai, Al-Hasan ibn Sufyan,
etc. As we mentioned, career. And Fadl Ibn became a judge.
Became judge in Samarkand for a time and built a.
Slow down. Let's see what we have here really quick. Samarkand, huh? Samarkand. Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Silk Road, Greater Iran, all of these different, Mongol, conquered by the Mongols under Genghis Khan. The city is noted as a center of Islamic scholarly study and the birthplace of the Timurid Renaissance. In the 14th century, Timur-Lane, or in France, it's called Timberlane. And it's very important, his personality in the East and the West. Many historians have contested with him being equal, if not greater, to Genghis Khan with regards to conquering. But it's more than that, though. It's deeper than that. Many different prejudices and misconceptions, and also romances and obsessions with the Far East via plays, scripts, Shakespeare, so on and so forth. People who influenced Shakespeare from their first plays that they wrote and performed was about Timberlane. So this person has a very far-reaching impact in history. All right? Why was he called Timur the Lane? He says, regarded as one of the greatest military leaders, etc. All right, moving forward. Hello, Alam, about that. Let's move back. All right. Samarkand, where he built a madrasa for his students, in which they were given stipends. He paid for them to study. Allahu Akbar. His students, his most famous students, became leading scholars of the time. Hakim, as we read. Daraqutni, وما أدراك ما Daraqutni. Al-Khattabi, Ibn Manda, death. Ibn Faisal
died in the bus on Friday night, 8 days before the end of the month of Shawwal in 354.
354. So born 272, 273, and died 354. So how old was he? He had a pretty full life, we can say. He was buried in his native Fadl.
He was buried in his native town, Bust, currently Afghanistan, in present-day southern Afghanistan.
Theology.
When returning to Exegesis after studying in Nishapur with Ibn Khuzaymah, Ibn Hibban was...
Obviously, we know, before we go forward, we know Ibn Khuzaymah's Aqidah. We explained what Ibn Khuzaymah's Aqidah. Ibn Khuzaymah was Athari. End of discussion. So he studied with him and he was returning from him. This is important to understand the scandal and what was said about him. Where did he come from? Studying with some innovator or studying with Ibn Khuzaymah? All right? Even if he said something wrong or he could have worded it better, but he just came back from what? Keep that in mind now. All right? Fadl, Ibn Hibban.
Ibn Hibban was opposed by some of the Hanbalis as he taught that God does not have limits.
God does not have limits. Had. Fadl.
Rejecting their belief in al-had.
Lillah, limits for God. All right, not to get too far off the subject, we're not here talking about Aqidah, but the qaida في الألفاظ التي لم يرد أو لم ترد في الكتاب والسنة لا نفيا ولا إثباتا لا نثبتها إطلاقا ولا ننفيها إطلاقا وإنما نقول ما قصدك بهذه الكلمة هل لله حد ليس لله حد هل الله في جهة أم ليس في جهة هذه الكلمة مجملة مبهمة غير واردة في القرآن غير واردة في السنة لا نفيا ولا إثباتا وإنما ينظر إلى قصد القائل ما قصدك بقولك بأن لله حد طيب إيش قصدك إيش تقصد فعلى حسب النية القائل والمتكلم هذه الألفاظ ألفاظ مشبوهة غير واردة في الكتاب والسنة أصلا فإن مثلا لو استعمل هذا الاصطلاح هذه الكلمة حد أو جهة أو إلى آخره وقصدت به معنى صحيحا ثابتا قد دلت عليه نصوص الكتاب والسنة قلنا طيب مقبول وإن قصدت به يعني قصد فاسد شيء لا يليق بالله تعالى قلنا لا يجوز يعني أنك تطلق على الله جهة أو إلى آخره أما تعميم ليس لله جهة ليس لله مكان ليس لكذا فهذا يعني مورد غلط سبب يعني وقع في كثير من الأخطاء انتبهوا right So these people, they said that you can't say that Allah has a limit. The word limit, is it in the Quran? Is it in the Sunnah? Human beings, physics, mathematics, dimension. Can you say that about God or not? Did Allah say that? Did Allah say, I have limits, I don't have limits, I'm in a limit, I'm in a place? The wording itself isn't a Quranic wording. Yes or no? There's no verse saying it, nor is there a verse negating the wording. So what do you mean by the word? What do you mean by the term? If you mean something which is proven by Quran and Sunnah, tayyib. And if you mean something which is rejected by Quran and Sunnah, we say what? Not tayyib. It's just that simple. So some people, they heard certain things. What did he mean? What did he intend? And they, for one reason or another, rushed to saying he was such and such and he was such and such. Furthermore, these local Hanbalis accused him of zandaqa, that he was a kafir, a fake Muslim. They said he was a hidden kafir because of him using this word in his term. Did he say that? What did he mean by that? But the moral of the story is they were hasty. And they did not do the necessary investigation of what's meant by this term that you're using about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another benefit we learn from this story here, this is his mihna. All of these imams, they have trials. It proves the danger of speaking about Allah without knowledge. وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. The greatest sin, worse than shirk, is to talk about Allah without the proper knowledge. And how seriously these scholars took it when he said something about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So we all should be mindful of this. What's important is the different madhab wars, Shafi'is, Hanbalis, the different Aqidah wars, so on and so forth. We have nothing but good thoughts of Imam Ibn Hibban. Right? Reception, works, so on and so forth. We have nothing but good thoughts of him until it's proven, no shadow of a doubt, that he spoke with some type of misguidance or deviation. وَحَتَّى لَوْ تَكَلَّمْ. Even if لِكُلِّ جَوَادٍ كَبْوَةٍ. Every racehorse misses at least one gallop. Every thoroughbred horse is going to miss at least one gallop. Every master archer is going to miss one shot. Every three-pointer is going to every now and then do what? He's going to miss a shot every now and then. Right? It's going to happen, right? Tayyib. All right. So that's brief with regards to his biography. Obviously, HDVIP talks about his mihna. أما الفيلسوف فيقول النبوة مكتسبة ينتجها طيب. All right, and of course, there's much more to one's aqidah than just asma wa sifat. And many people, they think and they feel الفرق بيننا وبين هؤلاء الكلام في بعض الصفات هل نثبتها ولا نؤولها. لا, it's deeper than that. It's more than that, right? إنكاركم عليه بدعة أيضا والخوض في ذلك مما لم يأذن به الله ولا أتى نص بإثبات ذلك ولا بنفيه مثل الذي قلته. أليس ذلك كذلك؟ ليس شيء يعني من جيبي أنا. الله لا أتى نص في إثبات ولا في نفيه. فليس لك أنت تعمم وتطلق ثم تنكر وتشنع على الآخرين. Right? That is not the way of the people of knowledge, to just generalize things and then scandalize people based off of your vague generality. All right? So he talks about his mihna, and we've explained this many times as well. وَلَوْ كَانَ مُنْكَرًا عَلَيْهِ لَمَا أَمْرَهُ بِالْقَضَاءِ. So HDVIP obviously is defending him and explaining the different things that were said about him, the things that weren't factual, the things that were misinterpreted, the things that were stretched, so on and so forth. All right. Last but not least is his book. And his book is called At-Taqasim wal-Anwa', in which the author is quoting traditions that he considers to be sound. And he arranged the book according to commandments, prohibitions, the different categories of the hadith, and not the topics. But that original work is lost. As we read, it's lost. And the only thing that exists is a tartib of his book by Ali ibn Balabban al-Farisi, al-Amir Alauddin. He, in his time, actually had the book. And he, because the book was difficult to decompress or decode because of how he organized it, huwa rattab al-kitab. على الطريقة المعهودة الكتب والأبواب. يعني he didn't take anything from his kalam, he didn't add anything. إنما رتب كتابه ترتيبا. And the only version of the book that survives today is called Al-Ihsan. And the name of the book Ihsan في تقريب يعني في ترتيب Sahih ibn Hibban. He died Ibn Hibban 739. So in the 8th century of the Muslims, the book was in what? Circulation. People had it, at least at that date. Us now today, the original work is lost. And the only thing is the order of the book. So إذا خرجت حديثا لا تقولوا أخرجه ابن حبان في صحيحه وإنما تقولوا أخرجه ابن حبان في صحيحه كما في الإحسان. لأنك أنت ما وقفت على أصل كتابه. ما وقفت على المصدر الأصلي. المصدر الأصلي مفقود. وإنما بين يديك الإحسان. All right. So the author in this book, he talks about, obviously the book, alhamdulillah, is in 16 volumes. The study of this book. There's tahqiq, there's dirasa. How many volumes we got? All the way up to 18, right? And in this first volume here, obviously you're going to have the study of the book, the discussion of the book, the study of the author, and his introduction as well, before we take some selections from the actual book. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. ذكر إيجاب الجنة لمن أطاع الله ورسوله فيما أمر ونهى. Paradise is mandatory, he says, for those who obey Allah and His Messenger concerning what they've been commanded and forbidden. ذكر خبر أوهم من لم يحكم صناعة الحديث أنه مضاد للأخبار التي ذكرناها. شوف أسلوبه يختلف عالي شوي. The style is very, very different than the other scholars of hadith. Clearly showing you his intelligence and how he chose to write the book, which was obviously a cause behind envy. All right, so he talks about how people have different misconceptions. All right, in this hadith here, Faddal Yusuf, قال أخبرنا فضل. So here he goes on, and the purpose of this is to show you how these are the footnotes, hawamish, takhrij, tasheeh, tat'if. Okay, he talks about how some things may seem to be polemic and contradictory. So the scholars of hadith knew way before there was the Orientalists and rationalist schools, etc., that there are some statements which could seem to be conflicting. But in reality, if they're both authentic, there's no conflict. And there's a way of harmonizing between the two. All right? So just mention different examples here. He talks about children of the mushrikun, fitra. Kitab al-Iman, the book of faith, the chapter of fitra. Kullu mawludin yulad al-fitra. So what happens to someone who dies, who's young, who isn't a Muslim? Do they go to heaven because they're still young? Do they go to Jahannam because their parents were mushrikun kuffar? Will they be tested on the day of judgment? Etc. It's a very long discussion among the scholars of hadith. Awladul mushrikeen. What happens to young non-Muslims when they die? One view states they'll go to Jannah. Period. With the believers. They weren't of age, they weren't pubescent, they weren't mature, they still were in innocence, and they were still upon the fitrah. Other scholars, they say, the hadith states, hum minhum. The young mushriks are from the older mushriks. Khalas, they're together. And some of them say that they will be tested on the day of judgment. Allah will present to them Islam. If they accept it, they'll go to Jannah, and if not, they will be with their parents. And some scholars, tawaqquf, they say, Allahu A'lam, where they're going to go. All right, so just going to show you the value of this book with regards to fiqhul hadith. Fiqhul hadith. All right. ذكر البيان بأن الجنة إنما تجب. Talks about Tawheed, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. This is volume 1. All right. This here is volume 15 or 11, excuse me. Al-Hadi Ashar, volume 11. Let's see what volume 11 is talking about. Oh man, we don't want that. La. Not in this masjid, not here in the live stream. I don't need that. Right? I don't want to make things difficult for some of you guys, right? Who may be watching, who may be sitting among us. Allah knows best who's on whose payroll. Right? King Faisal, right? I may be with the feds. You never know. You never know, bro. Okay? Allah musta'an. طيب فرض طيب جهاد النفس نعم بالقلب بس الله يصلح الحال ويهدينا. All right. Okay. Now he talks about Kitab al-Sayr, Bab al-Khuruj, wa Kayfiyat, Allahu Akbar. All right. What's important is all of the different topics he mentions here in this book. He speaks on them in the Kitab, with the Bab, and most importantly, Ibn Victor with the chain of narration. All right? Bis-sanad, like Bukhari, like Muslim. So therefore, the last thing that we'll say is that Ibn Hibban, rahimahullah ta'ala, is a continuation of Malik, Ibn Khuzaymah, Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, and that is the sanad with the metin, the steak and the potatoes. Steak and potatoes. You have the authentic hadith and the inauthentic hadith too. What's important is the hadith is there in front of you and the fiqh of that hadith. How do you understand it? How do you implement it? Is there any contradiction? Is there any problem? Steak and the potatoes. That's the way, right? Taking the fiqh directly from the text. ذكر طبع الله جل وعلا على قلب التارك اتيان الجمعة على سبيل التهاون بها عند المرة الثالثة نسأل الله العفو والعافية. He says the chapter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala putting his seal upon the heart of one who leaves off 3 Jum'ahs lackadaisically. Not out of sickness, you were sick, you couldn't make Jum'ah, but you just don't care about Jum'ah 3 times in a row, your heart is done. A seal upon your heart. Ask Allah to protect us from this. Fadl Yusuf, this will be the last hadith we'll take tonight. أخبرنا جعفر بن أحمد بن سنان القطان إملاء قال عبيدة نسأل الله العافية والسلامة. So he mentions his chain of narration, which goes back to this man whose name is Abu al-Ja'd ad-Damri, who was a Sahabi. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anyone who misses 3 Jumu'ahs, tahawunan biha, not caring, I'm busy, I'm going to school, Iman is in my heart, Allah Ghafurur Rahim, tahawunan, waliyadu billah. He just, lackadaisically misses Jumu'ah 3 times in a row, Allah will place a seal upon his heart. Now that's Ibn Hibban's speech. In the footnotes, the Muhaqqiq says, Isnaduhu Hasan, and then he mentions who quoted the hadith, Ahmad, before Ibn Hibban, Abu Dawood, before Ibn Hibban, right? Then he talks about more ahadith with regards to the heart being sealed. Waliyadu billah. The hadith goes back to Abu Hurairah. أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن العبد إذا أخطأ خطيئة نكتت في قلبه نكتة فإنه نزع واستغفر وتاب صقلت فإن عاد زيد فيها وإن عاد زيد فيها حتى تعلو فيه فهو الران الذي ذكر الله جل وعلا كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Abu Hurairah narrates, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ says, when the servant makes a sin, there's a spot placed on his heart. فَإِنْ هُوَ نَزَعَ, he puts it down, he drops it, he gets up, he walks away from her or them. La, this ain't cool, I'm tripping, I'm bugging. Wataba, he seeks Allah's forgiveness. Suqirat, his heart will be cleansed, it will be wiped away. But if he goes back to that sin, zida, that spot becomes darker and deeper. It's like peeling off a scab. Every time you peel a scab off, it delays the healing of the skin, right? And the scar from the scratch is going to be what? It's going to be more permanent, right? Every time you take off that scab, right? Until, waliyadu billah, ta'luwa fihi. It dominates his heart. A'udhu billah. His heart is done. It's dominated by evil, unfortunately. And that is the stain that Allah said in the Quran, Kalla bal. Nay, rather, Rana ala qulubihim ma kanu yaksibun. Surah Mutaffifin, Allah says, their hearts are stained because of the deeds that they used to do. And then he talks about expiation of missing Jumu'ah. Man fatathu al-Jumu'atu falyatasaddaq bidinar. فَلَمْ يَجِدْ فَبِنِصْفِ dinar. Is that sahih? Muhaqqiq says it's now the da'if. ذكر بيان بأن هذا الأمر المندوب إليه. All right, so the fiqh, the hadith, the fiqh, the steak, the potatoes, the meat, the potatoes, unless you're a vegan or a vegetarian. Allahumma musta'an. All right, jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much for joining, for listening, for reading. Nashkurukum and husn al-musharaka. Jazakumullah khairan. If anyone has a question in person or online, then we'll try to take them if there's enough time. Jazakumullah khairan. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا